Well, stimulating the economy, Senate Republicans preparing to release their coronavirus relief package next week without a payroll tax cut. Here now is Forbes media chairman Steve Forbes. Great to see you again. Great to be back with you, Steve.
Good to be with you, David.
This is a great way to stimulate employers to hire more people, making it cheaper for people to hire folks. That's exactly what we need. Why are Republicans dropping the idea?
Well, I think they don't really understand incentives. As you indicated, David, the virtue of the payroll tax holiday is, one, it gives workers an immediate pay raise. You make $40,000 a year. That's a $3,000 pay raise. For employers, it reduces the cost of hiring that $40,000 person by $3,000. So it's win-win all around. Now, Secretary of the Treasury Mnuchin, who for some strange reason doesn't get it, announced on Thursday it wasn't going to be part of the package. He was supposed to unveil the administration package, but now that's been put off to next week. So I don't think the idea is quite dead yet. I think it can be resurrected because it's the only thing in that new stimulus bill that will actually help the economy move forward.
I was going to say, Steve,
just spending.
Yeah, well, and the worst kind of spending. I mean, you're spending money, paying people more not to work than you are to work. Yeah. And I saw Steve Moore earlier. He said, "What if I'm roommates with a guy and he's not working at all and he's getting more pay than I am, and I come in late at night after working a hard day and he gets more sitting on his duff watching Netflix."
Yeah, and it's not fair. And if you pay people not to work, don't be surprised that a lot of them don't show up for work.
Right.
It's very basic. And state unemployment benefits are there to help. And if they want to help individuals, just do another round of one-time checks. The nice thing about those, David, it's one time. It doesn't warp or corrupt or distort the labor markets, which these unemployment moving up the unemployment benefits does. It's absolutely perverse. Yeah. People want to hire. Don't stop employers from hiring. Absolutely. And that combined with the payroll tax cut, win-win all around.
All right. Well, this next one might be lose-lose all around. Empty promises on cleaning up the nation's biggest city. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing that the city is going to be stepping up efforts to break up sidewalk camps. But at the same time, the Big Apple might be about to head backwards. The mayor canceling an anti-graffiti program that was instrumental in rescuing this city from disaster decades ago. So, Steve, looks like one step forwards, two steps back. Graffiti, by the way, might not sound like a big deal, but cleaning up graffiti was an instrumental part of pulling this city out of the gutter that it was in the 70s.
Well, that gets back to how they've absolutely forgotten what got New York back on its feet after the 1970s was by going after seemingly small things that affected the quality of life. And this whole homeless plague that New York is having is an indication that these liberals, progressives, are bankrupt in how to deal with the problems. They can't deal with homelessness. They're raising taxes. They're wrecking the schools, infrastructure. Look at all the scaffolding in New York. Why is all that scaffolding there forever? Because it costs a lot of money to put up, and every 3 years they make you put it up and do some inspections that they don't really need. So you have all this scaffolding around, and guess who lives under the scaffolding? People who may be homeless. Yeah. And their housing policies are insane with all these price controls and delays in getting projects approved. So these wounds are self-inflicted, and people like de Blasio are absolutely clueless about dealing with them.
Steve, I disagree with only one thing you said, and that is using the word progressive to describe these policies.
Let's start a movement to call them the regressives.
Exactly.
Moving backwards.
It's completely regressive. When you think of progressive, that means things are getting better, things are getting cleaner, fewer people are dying. This is exactly the opposite.
They have a campaign to corrupt the language, so we'll start calling them the regressives. Good way to start.
How much longer do we go back to policies that we know don't work and get rid of policies that we know do work? And we're not just talking about a better quality of life. We're talking about saving people's lives. 2,200 people a year were dying under these policies that we're going back to. Now it's less than 400.
That's right, and that goes to the ballot box, and that also goes to people who are true progressives, conservatives and the like, who want more opportunity for all, to have learned to fight harder, not just in elections, but year-round, starting with the culture and everything else. We've got to fight on all fronts and shed our inhibitions. This is a fight to really shape how we shape the nation in the future. And right now, we're losing because we haven't been fighting the way we should. So
right.
elections are one thing, but we got to move on the culture
By the way,
front and everywhere else.
Speaking of elections, we're seeing a lot more of Ray Kelly, the former police commissioner. He'd be a great new mayor, wouldn't he?
He would be a fantastic mayor, and I just regret that 8 years ago he decided not to run.
I know.
But anytime he wants to run, I think a lot of people would rally around him, and we finally would get an adult in City Hall who would actually get things done as was done in the 1990s under Giuliani and then under Bloomberg. Adults, imagine that.
Steve Forbes, great to talk to you again, Steve. Thanks very much.